Hi everyone, it's Mary from A Passion for Paper. Welcome back to my channel. Today I thought it would be fun for us to make a loaded pocket. So I've gathered 3 loaded pockets here to start off, and then we'll go ahead and make one together. I've been making these for a while now, and I used to post them in my Instagram, which is A Passion for Paper, and I'll link it below. If you want to take a look, I'd be glad to have you join me there as well. And one of the ladies commented and asked if I could do a tutorial on how to make the loaded pocket. So that's been on my mind for quite some time, and now's a great time to go ahead and do so. So let's take a look at these sample loaded pockets. You can see that I do sew the bottom shut, and that could also be done with glue. If you don't have a sewing machine or prefer not to use it, but I do a lot of stitching. I like to sew things on. In fact, I sew this collage. I make a little collage for this part, and then a little something here as well to embellish the loaded pocket. And basically I just load it with all kinds of different coffee dyed, tea dyed goodies. This is an index card that I have coffee dyed with a special stencil, and this is a vintage library periodical card. I sell these in my Etsy shop, which I will link below, so if you're interested you could go take a look. And I love doing the grungy coffee dye. I mix coffee and tea together and put all these items in there. This is a Rolodex card, vintage, and so all of these different things are in here, and I just like to arrange them all different ways so that you can see them all kind of sticking out. But if we get all the way to the bottom, this is a vintage time card that has been a grungy coffee dyed. These are also available in my shop. And then these Scrappy Notepads that I sell these in sets of 3 in my Etsy shop. And I use these beautiful stamps from Sam Poole Designs, which I love. And lots of different coffee dyed papers. I always like to put in a French book page and some vintage music sheet here, a different French book page. This one has a little bit of a shine on it. And then here's some coffee dyed paper with a stencil pattern, some grungy, and that beautiful stamp. So this is in the back, and then here's the pocket. So this I made out of a vintage book page, and I sewed it across the bottom. And then it has pocket here, pocket here, pocket here, and pocket here. So I just stack it full of all the different things. So that is one loaded pocket, and let's take a look at the second one. This also has different tags, and these are cute little mini tags. I use some digitals from Honey Ruth Designs Etsy shop, and I will link her shop below as well. Some little tags, and these I printed out on cardstock, little sari silk tie, and cluster that I made, and some more of these little lovely coffee dyed index cards, Rolodex cards, and the time card, along with a beautiful scrappy notepad. And this is the pocket here. I made a little Collage sewed it on, and I'll show you how you can do that, because you have to obviously sew it on while it's unfolded so that you can still put things behind it. And that is what we're going to be doing today. So stick around if you'd like to make one with me. Last prototype. Let's take a look at this one. Again, I have sewn on a collage on this side, a little one on this side, and then we have some more little tags and coffee dyed cards, pretty similar to the other one. This one I did sew a little cluster on the top of this dyed index card. I do love the way the stencils come out on the coffee dyed index cards. Grungy time card, and this Scrappy Notepad again with the beautiful stamps from Sampool Designs. And this is the empty pocket. See, it's been inked right up to there. This is a book page as well. These are from English Literature Vintage Books. So those are my prototypes, and we'll go ahead and start making a loaded pocket together. Just move that off to the side. So this is how I get started with making my loaded pocket. I created this little prototype just using a 8.5 by 11 sheet of copy paper, and we're going to make a few of these together so you can see exactly how to do it. This is not my original design at all. I learned how to make these years ago. But what's handy about making this prototype is you can unfold the pocket, and then I can sew on my little collage here and my little collage here. And then once it's sewn, I can fold it back together and still have my pocket. Because obviously you can't sew on here or you wouldn't have your full pocket once it's folded. And then I sew along the bottom, and that keeps it closed, because there is an opening at this point right here. So let's make a couple of these pockets. And again, you can use any paper. Sometimes I use book page, sometimes I use copy paper, but it's good to have a rectangle size. This is just a piece of copy paper, 20 pound, that has been coffee dyed, and I have some cool stencil patterns on there. And then what you have to do is we're going to start by making these 2 points here. So that is the first fold. So basically you're going to be laying your paper the long ways in front of you, and then take the bottom corner. I'm going to take the bottom right corner and just bring it up to this corner, and then I like to just turn them kind of sideways so you can see that both of the points are up there. I try to make a square right here, and it's basically coming across. This is even all the way across. It makes a nice straight line. And then as soon as you feel comfortable with the top there, and that this part seems straight, matching up with this, you can just go ahead and crease it. And then it looks like this. So here's my prototype. You can see I'm just going to pick up the 2 ends on the sides and bring them together, and I'm going to tuck one side into the other. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Now this is a tricky part, and it took me a while to figure out exactly how to do this, because you can see like there's an opening here, there's no opening on this side, so that's kind of how you know where to tuck it. And then before I press it down, I visually look at the bottom to make sure there is an even line here. This should all be even. And then I look at the top and I kind of move it in a little bit more. I keep the corners kind of rounded until I feel like I've got a great spot for it, because I kind of want it to be somewhat even at the top here, these things, this part and this part. And once I have that down, then I crease it. And there's my pocket. So it's really quickly assembled. So you got your pocket here, pocket here, pocket here, and pocket here. So lovely. And then what I would do next is take this over to my sewing machine and sew a little collage here and here. And I use my template to remind me where to put it. You could also put a little mark on it, put just a little pencil mark on each spot, because once you open it up, it's very hard to remember, okay, where am I gonna sew my collage? And it could just be very confusing. So I always like to mark it. And you can mark it with a little pencil mark. Maybe that's what I'll do here. And then this is just kind of to remind me, you know, I like to have that sample. So I'm gonna put something here and something here. And then I think we should make another one, because I always like to see things done twice. Here is another sheet of 8.5 by 11 copy paper. I'm putting it the long way. I'm going to take the bottom right corner and I'm going to bring it up and make, it's almost like when you're folding it for an airplane. I don't know if you ever made those when you were a kid, where you go along here. This part should be the same distance here as it is here. And I try to bring this up a little bit higher. So these 2 points are kind of even. And I just eyeball it and then press it down. Use my bone folder, crease it out. And then you bring the 2 sides. So you're just gonna keep it kind of rounded. You're not gonna press it in yet. You're gonna bring the 2 sides up and see where you could tuck this in here. And then you push it in a little bit more. And these pages have little tears in them, but that's okay. And then I'm just gonna eyeball it, making sure this bottom is even, and then seeing where I wanna put the top. And I think that looks pretty good. And then I'm gonna go ahead and crease it. Okay, so now we've got 2 of them done. So the next thing to do is to create a little collage to sew here and here. Alternatively, you could also obviously glue them. So I have these words that I print out and then coffee dye. These are very grungy words. Here's another slightly less grungy. So I'm going to just go ahead and look for a word that I could rip out and put in my collage here. So I think I'll take this flare. And just going to tear a nice little shape here. Then I'm going to ink it up. I'm using Vintage Photo Distress Oxide. And I'm just going to then add a couple more elements to layer into a mini collage for the front. And then I will sew it on after I open the pocket back up. Okay. Now, took some lace. I have this coffee dyed lace. This is from a vintage wedding dress I purchased at an auction, and I just cut chunks of it off and coffee dye them, and then I can put them in various projects. Kind of like to layer a few of them on there. I think that would be nice. And I have a couple more little things of lace or trim. Let's see what these are doing. Cut these out for clusters earlier, but I think I might just see how this looks. I could even have a little bit of maybe some sewing pattern paper. Let's see how that would be if I put that behind it. Just gonna check that out. See approximately what size. I like that it's a little folded up there too. That could give it a little bit more texture. Just want a little bit smaller spot here. And I like that. Maybe I'll just do with that. Sometimes I have these little French sheets, and I will put, let's just try it and see what that would look like behind there. I'm thinking it might be too busy because of all of these patterns that are on the envelope itself. Funny thing about these vintage French books, they all have this slate color. This one's red, and I have another one that has blue. You can see it's the color here. This one's blue, and this one was red. I don't know where that book is. Sometimes I rip the pages out and they're separated from their books, but it's funny how they have that in common. It's kind of cute. We'll do something like that. So there it is with the book page. Got to audition it without as well. Kind of like it better without. I'm going to leave it off this time. Even though I usually like to put a little French book page. Maybe we'll could try one over here. Let's see what that would look like. And where did I just put the, here. I have this lace. This is from the same wedding dress, just a longer piece. Maybe layer some of that underneath here. And I could just trim it off. Sorry, that's kind of a funny sound. Let's lift it up a bit. Maison de Vie. That's nice. Ooh, kind of liking that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead to the sewing machine. Be right back. So I just went ahead and sewed on my 2 collages. And so I left it flat because this is how I had it in the sewing machine. And what you want to do then is you just kind of see where it naturally folds. We have this long fold here, and then you turn it over and you can see these 2 folds are here, and you see, oh, there's nowhere to tuck it on this side, but there is a pocket here, so you know you're going to be tucking this side into this side. And here we have our pocket back. So we have Flare and La Princesse de Clèves. And so that's our pocket. Now we're going to load it up with things. And so what I did was I brought I have this little cardboard box, and I put a little fun stuff on the front to make it look pretty. And then I have all sorts of coffee dyed goodies in here. So I am going to take one of these little Rolodex cards, and you can see how gorgeously grungy they are. I just love all the different levels of grunginess. And then in here, I have index cards. So some are just grungy, some are more plain, some have the fancy stencil designs. These are the vintage library cards. They're periodical cards, so it's like the library would mark down, oh, we have, you know, received January's edition of #1, and they have all these tiny little places to check things off, so those are fun. I'm gonna put one of these here and just kind of start building up my layers. I love these. These are the larger size index cards, and I make these for my French junk journal kits that I sell in my Etsy shop. So this is a Paris stencil, and this is a separate stencil, and I put them both on. It's a double dye process. I spray, press it down, let it dry in the sun. So I'm just going to go ahead and put that near the back. These are other stencil designs that I have made on some larger cards. Some of them are just grungy and more plain. So lots of variety here. And there's smaller ones as well. These are the 3x5 cards. Again, some with stencils, some with grungy, and some more plain. Let's see, I think this would be a nice one to put in there. And I also sometimes round the corners on these, and I like to round the corners 2 at a time because I find that works better with the corner rounder. I think I'm going to take, ooh, these are nice. These are very crisp images from the coffee dye process with the stencil. So I'm going to just put 2 at a time to make it a little more firm, and then put them just right into my corner rounder. And then I'm going to just ink those a little bit. And put these in here. I also like, oh, I didn't sew this. So this is what happens if you don't sew the bottom. You're going to find things peeking through. So, sorry, I got a little excited there. I forgot to sew the bottom. So actually, I'm just going to sew it just like this. And take it right in here and just sew straight across. Sometimes I have sewn down the sides and across, and that is nice too. But lately I've just been doing the bottom, so then you don't have to worry as much about the sides if you have kind of an overflow. So let me just sew this. I'll just do this really quickly. Okay, so I apologize for the noise and the weight, but I figured I would just do it super fast and pop back over here so you could see. So this is just a straight stitch along the bottom, and I'm going to go ahead and clip these off. I usually love to leave a lot of strings hanging, and when I do other clusters and scrappy notepads I do, but for the pocket I usually trim some of those off. Okay, so this is the back. You can see it here. And then this is the front. So now when we put our cards in, they won't poke through the bottom anymore. So that was a fun little detour. See, doesn't go through. And we'll just put a variety of these. And then I like to put one of these time cards in. These are really special and they're a nice thick weight. So I only got one package of these at a thrift shop. So when they're gone, they're gone. I have a few left in my Etsy shop, but I can't replenish those, unfortunately. So last thing is the Scrappy Notepad, which is kind of the crowning glory of these. And so I brought a few over that I'm in the process of finishing. And I do have a whole video on Craft With Me on making scrappy notepads. So I will link that below. Since my channel's pretty new, you can kind of find it pretty easily, but I will link it because as time goes on, there will be lots more videos. So then it'll be a little more challenging to find. So here's the 3 scrappy notepads I am working on now. And as you can see, I keep everything in place with these little clips. So basically what I do is just arrange a variety of papers in these kind of cascading waterfall style, and I love to use a lot of French imagery. I have a Eiffel Tower stamp, the Sam Pool stamps, which I love, and some digital image that I got off the internet, a label, and then some of my authentic vintage French book pages, and then all these fun stencils, and then these coffee dyed papers came out just beautiful, very grungy. This one's a lace pattern, and then the pattern paper, so just a variety. And then I haven't sewn them in yet. I machine stitched these across. I did assemble some French book page and lace and put that all together. So I'm gonna just sew the tops across here, and then we'll put one of these into the back of the loaded pocket. I think these are just so beautiful and so fun to make, and so I'll go ahead and do that, and then we'll assemble everything together. And I got the scrappy notepads sewn across the top, and I have the extra threads. I like to let those hang down as part of the feature of the look, little shabby chic flair. And I sew 3 times, so I have threads starting on this side, so down, back, across, and so then I have threads on that side as well. So I did that for all 3 of these, and so now we just have to pick one to put in the back of this loaded pocket. And I did tuck in a couple other little digital cards that I had in my stash, just to kind of round out the look. I like to have a lot of different shades of color and layers. So put those in here, and then those are all the other items that I had put in earlier. And then we're gonna pick something to poke out the top. So this is what it looks like from the back. And I'm just gonna tuck this in here. do like how that looks. Yeah, I think that's a winner. I like that there's so many of the lighter color flowers up here. I feel like it's bringing out this and this and this, the lighter colors. And then there's also a little bit of the darker weaved in here and here and there. And so it's just, and then all the other neutral shades. So there you have it. This is our finished loaded pocket. And let's just go ahead and measure this. So 2, 4, 5 inches across. And of course it's going to be, depending on how high you pull the items out, but the pocket itself, let's measure from the back, would be 2, 4, 6. So not quite 7. This would be the 7th inch here, so right about here. So just under 7 inches tall for the pocket itself, and then with everything in it, and again, you could push everything down a little bit. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, if you have everything sticking out all the way up. There you have it. And if you want to just see, this again is my little kind of template that I made. And that's the same size as the pocket I started out with. You can kind of tell easier by looking at the back. And what's handy about this is you can take it apart, and now you know exactly where to do the sewing if you want to sew on it. The collage here, or, you know, through that section, and then just fold it back up. Turn it over this way, and then you always tuck this side into the pocket here, and then sew along the bottom. Okay, so that's our model, and here's our finished pocket. I hope you enjoyed crafting with me today. If you joined with, hope you enjoyed it. I did want to show you real quick just a couple of other pockets. These I did from book page. I have this beautiful vintage book of botanicals, and so these are more of the same type of pockets, slightly different size. And then this is a small one that I'm working on, and this is just made out of a book page, so it's a lot smaller. I just started loading it up, and I haven't sewn it yet or done any collage, but you can kind of see the size difference here. But they're cute, the little ones, so you can really do it with any size paper at all. It's just, you know, going to be a smaller pocket if you do a smaller sheet of paper. But there you have it. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you. Please leave a like and a comment. I'd love to hear from you. And please stop back for my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.